Hello and welcome to a rather special Sunday repeated on Wednesday program, and this is
the Mojo Hand, the winning boys magic.
Marge, this ticket doesn't just give me a seat. It also gives me the right, no, the duty to make a complete ass of myself.
But as for me, I'm off to battle aliens on a faraway planet.
Hello, operator, give me the number for 911.
Who sent you here? Can't talk, little man? Bet can't play none either.
I could pull a better cartoon out of my ass. Hey, whoa! Wasn't that great, kid?
Oh, bitch.
Kill my boss! Do I dare live out the American dream?
Overload. Pleasure overload.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
Good morning, Wood Ticks and Patriots. How are ya? It's JustJim from the bunker at Lake Wish I Be Gone. We have a pretty good show today. We're going to talk about parents and children and school systems. Some of you ain't going to like what I got to say, but what I have to say is the true. And it's the true come hell or high water, no matter how much the other media starts to say, oh, that can't be. Even your woke neighbors are going to say, how can this be? Or a lot of them are even going to say, it's okay, let them do it. They're just doing their job. Not true. We're going to talk about Chicago and what's going on down there in Chi-Town. We're also going to talk about the origins of CV and where it happened. And then we're also going to talk about the FBI, and it ain't female body inspectors, and what's going on with your tax dollars. All that and a lot more on the Just Jim Show from Lake Wish I Be Gone. Well, welcome back. Yes, it is another crazy Wednesday here at the bunker. And I tell you, I don't know if I can actually believe half the crap that's going on around town. We're back on the swear buzzer, raising money. Here's a story that was out last week, I think it was. And it's happening in a place that I personally would never have thought something like this would have happened. Out in Wyoming, America. Obviously, this can't be my America because it wouldn't happen in my America, would it? Let me play with my mic a little bit here. I'm fine right here. The headline reads, teens laugh and point after allegedly beating and butchering a Wyoming boy who tried to protect his girlfriend. Now, given what's going on in America nowadays, maybe that isn't all that out of the ordinary, except where it happened. Now, this is, I suppose it's in a in a expected area of the city. It was at a shopping mall, Eastridge Mall, in Casper, Wyoming. Robert Dean Maher Jr. of Casper, Wyoming, reportedly received a concerned call from his girlfriend Sunday, indicating that a pair of teens were stalking her and her friend around Eastridge Mall. The chivalry is not dead. 14-year-old made his way over to help out, but was savagely stabbed to death. I find that to be just really hard to believe. According to the Cowboy State Daily, the suspected killer is 15-year-old Jareth Josfle Sabstian Plunkett, of Evansville. Plunkett now faces charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated assault and battery, and theft. He has been charged as an adult, rightfully so. You may say, well, okay, whatever. According to the affidavit, one of the accused murderers, wearing a balaclava at the time, told Maher to, quote, swing on him several times. However, Maher clearly did not want to fight, as he was seen moving in a continuous backwards motion away from Jareth. He was backing away. And any of you who carry or have concealed carry permits or have taken a class about when to, when not to, you back away until the distance becomes so minimal that something is inevitable. However, due to numerous other juveniles gathering around, it appeared as if he was unable to get away. He was trying to get inside the mall. It was happening outside the mall, apparently. Casper police noted that other individuals potentially involved in the case, quote, have been identified and questioned by law enforcement. When Plunkett allegedly, that's not right. Let me get back out of here. There you go. When Plunkett allegedly brandished a large kitchen knife. What's he got a kitchen knife at a mall for? Oh, I wonder. Oil City News indicated Maher said, put the knife away. This isn't fair. Plunkett allegedly responded, I don't play fair. And at that time, you or I might have done something entirely different. Of course, this is a 15-year-old. In a video of the slaying, Harris can allegedly be seen grabbing Maher by the waist and slamming him into the ground near the Hibachi Supreme Buffet in the mall. Plunkett then allegedly stabbed Maher twice in the chest with a kitchen-style knife, while Harris punched the boy in the face. So, number one, it's 2-on-1. 15 years old. I won't say it doesn't happen, because apparently it does, all over the place. After the attack, camera footage showed the victim grip his body, his bloody abdomen, stagger through the mall's exterior doorway, and then collapse. A third suspect apparently kicked Maher after his stabbing. They were seen laughing and pointing as they ran through the parking lot, while witnesses attempted first aid. And here's a quote from a Casper policeman. In my time in law enforcement, this doesn't happen. We've seen an increase in frequency and severity of youth crime over the last couple of years. And then says, just an unfortunate trend in our times. And it appears this was not a random attack. Oh, not a random attack. So could it be a race hate crime? We'll read on and find out. I don't think it is. Investigators indicated that Plunkett allegedly told Harris that he was going to gut that dude, quote unquote, 3 days earlier. The victim and both suspects attended Dean Morgan Junior High together. This is junior high school. I got some stories about my children in junior high. Ashlyn Bino, an apparent friend of the victim's family, noted the GoFundMe campaign that has raised over $40,000 for his funeral expenses, that Maher left behind his dad, Robert, his mom, Mary, and 3 brothers. And the story goes on and on to say that, again, these kids were stalking this person's girlfriend. She called because she didn't like what she saw was happening at the mall. Something tells me it's all happening at the mall. No, that's in California. Anyway, now these stories do tie together because it has to do with parents, parenting skills, end result, and at the teenage years of the formative years. It's a little bit beyond the formative years. And here's another story that cropped up on the feed. It says a child was removed by a red state following complaints over Christian views deemed sickening. What's this? Rights and to put distance between parents and children. Hence our topic. The separation of parental rights, children, the school system, and society. Do you remember who told you a long time ago, it takes a village to raise a child? Remember that? Yeah. Queen's home server herself said that. If you know who that is, you're on target. It may, however, be a mistake to presume that residency in a red state with a Republican trifecta and a parental Bill of Rights in effect could offer any guarantee of relative protection. Absolutely correct. This is in Indiana. The Indiana Department of Child Services had a male minor suffering from both anorexia and gender dysphoria. You got to love the English oatmeal that they have come up with in order to rationalize and their behavior and penalize those who are standing up saying, wait a minute, no, you don't get a pass on this. You don't get a get out of jail free card. From the custody of his loving traditional Catholic parents in 2021, even though Mary and Jerome Cox were getting him help. The Coxes' refusal to compromise on their deeply held religious convictions and affirm the so-called transgender identity of their 16-year-old son appears to have been a driving factor behind both the DCS's initial investigation into the family and a state's subsequent effort to keep the teen, referred to as AC in court documents, out of his familiar home. So they're trying to say that the state says that this person has a transgender problem and wants to keep that person out of his family's home. The parents fought the state every step of the way, but had no luck in the trial court or the appellate court. So they've been in through the system. My saying always is, don't violate the system. Change the system if you don't like what the system is saying. Seeking to help the Coxes find redress, the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty and attorney Joshua Hirschberger of the Hirschberger Law Offices petitions the U.S. Supreme Court to hear the parents' case last year, warning that similar cases were bound to reoccur due to developing conflicts between parents and their children concerning gender identity. You can call me a transphobic all you want. I am not. I have very good friends who have transgendered. Transgendered. The father, apparently, is a software engineer and clinical studies manager with a Master of Science degree in biochemistry and molecular biology, shouldn't have lost custody of their son. Excuse me, I have this allergy or something going on. Anyway, That declination could prove consequential not just for the vulnerable children, but for parental rights across the country. Fall you on one side or the other of the transgender issue and individuals claiming that they have an identity of something else than what they were born with, this has to be concerning to pretty much everybody, because to nibble at specifics of parental rights and bypass what one might call the norm is probably not the right thing to be doing. This conversation falls on better brains than mine. But, the great American word. Media reports following the High Court's declination on March 18th frequently recirculated vulgar remarks attributed to the Coxes that were found to be unsubstantiated. Mainstream reports also parroted the narrative advanced by the state in its counterbrief and in public statements attributed to Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, which went along lines of AC. This goes on and on to talk about the perceived reality of what was going on in that family unit. And when the state steps in and says, this person would be better served outside of if you stay away from the family, outside the family unit, we probably have a problem. Hirschberger told the Blaze News, is coming out of the Blaze, Glenn Beck. In my view, the state has simply ignored the facts of the case. The line has been, it's about the eating disorder, not about transgender identity, and yet the trial court barred the parents from speaking about the entire topic of gender identity. In fact, one of the key reasons in the motion asking for removal was that the parents had not accepted LGBTQ, XYZ, ABC resources on parenting transgender children. Parents had not accepted it. And why? Thinking it because their religious beliefs. Other parental rights advocates and religious groups are confident this custody battle was from the outset ideologically driven. The alarm has to be raised when the state hovers, and someone makes a false claim or a claim that I know better than you do. Now, the term abuse gets tossed around a whole lot in this day and age with all these things going on with identity this, identity that, backing of this person, backing of that person, or group of people. I have to say, as with anything in our freedoms, the baseline is this, and then it's up to individual rights. Now, I'll be taking on possibly potentially a new partner or an advocacy on my part for their group and organization that deals with some of these issues of child. And at some point, one party or the other would most notably be accused of abuse in some way, shape, or form, be it the state or the parents. At some point, it doesn't matter. The end result is that this minor child, with whatever issues are sitting in the noggin, somebody has to stand up. And I can't buy that they didn't, that there wasn't a guardian ad litem sitting in the middle of this case. If there wasn't, Indiana, you need to get your shit together in another quarter. I'll tell you out right now, my show is not for kids. I'm not a sailor, but I swear like one. Dr. Bill Donahue, president of the Catholic League, did not similarly hold back, telling the news agency it's a fundamental principle in Western jurisprudence that children do not belong to the state. Oh, hello. They belong to parents. This principle cannot be overridden save for the most egregious of instances, of which many people are now waking up to the trafficking situation, adults and minors. And the state, I got to say, the state stepped in on this particular case, and yet the state, and I say the state that's at the highest level, allows open borders, drug and human flesh trafficking. Apparently, it doesn't even bat an eyelash. And the end result is partially it gets tied together to this type of behavior and reaction by the state, the all-powerful state. Have you heard that somewhere in the world's history before? Huh? Here's another one coming out of Blaze and Glenn Beck. Excuse me. Parents sound off after transvestite student with a hit list, quote unquote, allegedly bashed open Pennsylvania girl's head. This is not necessarily a negative show, but it's a point of fact that this stuff is going on, and it isn't covered by the mainstream media at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 10 o'clock. You won't hear this stuff because it is very unpleasant to hear. Some innocent girl, a teen transvestite with an apparent history of violence, will likely face several charges over a savage, unprovoked attack that sent a 12-year-old girl to the hospital with head trauma Wednesday in North Wales, Pennsylvania. There's head trauma, but it's not in this little girl's head. A 12-year-old girl, a 15-year-old young man. The attack was caught on video. See, this is welcome to my part of the conversation with schools and parents. Schools offload as readily as anybody else their obligation to be present and protect. When I take a child, one of my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, to a building that my tax dollars fund, I expect them to be in temporary custody and protection of the adults in this system. I pay for it. You pay for it. And yet, their biggest offload is, well, we installed video systems so we can watch. They then bring in a peace officer and call him a liaison. And then the administration, when and if something happens, well, we were watching. You were watching. Daddy JustJim. Don't want to hear that comment coming out of some public servant's mouth. And that's all the school administrators are, is a public servant, especially in a public school. According to the Upper Grined police chief, Chief Duffy, the video of the incident in Montgomery County depicts a sudden, violent, unprovoked assault with the assailant coming from behind the victim. So this big, burly 15-year-old that's got visions of sugar plums in his head has to sneak up on a 12-year-old girl and start having at her. The video apparently shows the attacker brutally hammer the victim over the head with a Stanley cup. So there's an object in their hand. Bang, bang, bang. Then smash her face repeatedly against a table. The security guard reportedly had to pry the attacker off this bloodied victim, who subsequently was shielded by a teacher. Now, I give you, things happen fast. If this was a rush, a rush, this Yutz rushed in to beat up on this girl. And it happened. So I got a simple question: does this person have a history of bad behavior, ill behavior? Were there any signs ahead of time that they might have had notice or had been closer? Maybe not. Duffy told North Penn Now that the 12-year-old victim required staples to close her head wound and was placed in a concussion protocol. Well, obviously. Pembroke principal Nick Taylor informed parents in an email that school security and school staff were on hand and quickly responded. But here's a 12-year-old girl with her head bashed open in the hospital. But we were close. We were watching videos. And quickly responded and are to be commended for their swift actions. Well, what, before the kid was beheaded? Taylor noted further that police and medical responders were quickly dispatched to the scene. There's a wait time for that. Old EMT here. Been there, done that. I get a call, I go somewhere, I don't go anymore. Response time is somewhere short of 15 minutes. In an urban community, it might be less than that. On Thursday, concerned parents and community members packed a North Penn School District meeting, demanding answers and questioning the narrative that has been ceded to the media. There you go. We were close. We were watching. We responded. They need to be commended for their behavior. If they're human beings, they're going to restrain this kid, take care of the other one. The district appeared keen to dodge parents' questions about the incident. Quote, this was avoidable, and the district truly failed to protect the students at Pembroke, one parent said. What are we supposed to say to our children after this? How do I send them back to the building? Administrators understood in advance the threat posed by the alleged attacker. What? They understood this? Granted, they apparently escorted him around the premises over safety concerns. Well, where the hell was the escort? They let him go. Wait a minute. Does this ring true somewhere else? Oh, no bond. Would just have them sign their name and turn them loose in the streets. It's unreal. It don't make sense. And it will make sense later because somebody had to let this child come to school. Knowing their background, knowing everything about this child, said a dad whose child was supposedly on the attacker's hit list. A young student named Emily testified at the NPSD meeting that she and others warned the school employees that the transvestite student was planning an attack. Oh, wait a minute. Let's find the right one. I got sirens here somewhere. Wednesday morning, I went to the guidance counselor and told her since I was second on the hit list, knowing that there was something going to happen, because there was a girl she was targeting every day at lunch. And they would go to the counselor and tell them every day that this is going to happen. Wait a minute. Last week, I don't have it here. It was last week's show, my last show. I talked about 4 boys who trapped a girl in a bathroom toilet, and as the oatmeal English comes out, penetrated her. It's called rape. They raped a young girl, younger than them, 4 boys. Same kind of thing. The administrators knew that these kids were up to no good. According to Emily, the school official to whom she had expressed her concerns reassured her that nothing was going to happen. Oh, we watch video cameras. Nothing's going to happen. I can hear it all now. The transvestite student, who apparently referred to himself as Melanie, was apparently keen to prove the school employee wrong. You thinking? Yeah. Emily was in the cafeteria just feet away from the attack when it occurred. This is girl number 2 on the list. I just hear all this screaming and everybody running. I see Mel running in after somebody. The girl who got attacked didn't see it coming because she was face backwards, and all of a sudden you just hear this terrible, like, loud bangs of Stanley bouncing off her head. Of the Stanley bouncing off her head. The trophy, Stanley trophy. And then you see Mel grabbing her hair and hitting her against the table, just repeatedly hitting her with the Stanley. There's blood going everywhere, said Emily. This is a frickin' junior high. You get it? This is what's going on. I can't even read it anymore. I'm telling you that the school administrators, where am I? I cannot. I'm done. But part of the reason I read these couple articles, these instances, was because the current situation in America, not just here at Lake Wish I Be Gone, but all across America, the whole thing. We say we want to protect our kids and provide safe environments. Hell, they just passed a referendum, a multi-million-dollar referendum around here, under false pretenses, I'm telling you, that is supposed to provide continued current level education to the students in the school district. They have cameras installed in that junior high school. Doesn't stop the stuff, immediacy of actions by students or people who want to do ill to our children while they're in, quote unquote, a protected custody environment, a learning experience. What do you think these kids learn? I'm just telling you. It's known that this Yahoo has a hit list. What does that simple thing do if you're on the hit list or your child's on the hit list? What does it do to the ability of your child to learn anything? Open up, be relaxed, be focused, and absorb the information that's being handed to them by their teachers. Let alone if the two people are the hitter and the hit list person are in the same classroom, what does it do to the hit list owner as far as his or her education goes? Excuse me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. A little coffee here. And where I'm trying to go here is parents, as bad as the economic situation is, your job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, part-time jobs, full-time jobs, whatever it is, you do need to have a rapport with your children. And you have to have a more pointed conversation with administrators and teachers that your child interacts with. Because I'm going to tell you, the expenditure of your tax dollars and my tax dollars to provide this type of an environment for children to be brought up in, I don't think that's got a thing to do with the America, my America, that I was raised up in. As far as I know, it's got not a damn thing to do with it. I'll give you. So with that, I'm going to take a break, clear my head a little bit. I'll come back and we will talk about a lot of other things. You're on the Just Jim Show in the morning, and a good morning it is. welcome back to the Just Jim Show. It's a beautiful day here. No, not, the sun's out. Lake Wish I Be Gone. Up here at the bunker. I got a couple stories that are kind of tag on to what we were just talking about. It has to do with LEO and their interaction or inability to take action on known things. We're talking. People want to pass red flag laws. If you don't know what a red flag law is, go look it up. It's the accusation of potential behavior of someone somewhere. I mean, I pick up the phone, I call my local PD, and I say, I know this neighbor of mine, he's got 500,000 rounds of ammunition, and he's been talking crazy. She's talking crazy lately, and I think she's going to do something. Maybe I'll go check it out. Well, red flag laws fall very much under the 702 clause of FISA, which the FBI has admitted violating almost 300,000 times in a year. And the FISA law states that American citizens cannot be investigated. That's what it is. And just recently, Mike Johnson, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, at Trader. See if I got a picture of him here. Let's see what we got. I do. Hang on a minute. Let me put that over here. Just in case you don't know who he is, this guy, who says no matter what he's doing, says that I'm just doing my job. I'm not going to resign. I'm not going to do anything, blah, 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 blah. You hear me? Blah, 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 blah. This guy, I'm going to say it, Tom Fenton over at one of our investigator people that's out there doing the work of the people. Look at this guy's financial status today or at the start of the year. And at the end of the year, why don't you go get an FOIA and find out what his financial status is at the end of the year? Because I'm going to guarantee you that it won't be anywhere near what you think it is. Speaker of the House passes a $95 billion budget, aid to Ukraine, Israel, Baltics, other places, and refuses to stand firm on his acceptance speech of being the pro-American person that he should be as an elected official, specifically the Speaker of the House. And in the meantime, and then doesn't do it by pushing the vote and calling for the vote of the last continuing resolution, blah, blah, with doodly squat for border security. And here's a story. Josh Hawley fights back against FBI overreach in spy powers bill. Quote, everyone should know about the Turner Amendment. This part of the House bill gives the FBI power to press even more individuals into helping facilitate government surveillance. Could your landlord or handyman be sharing your info with the FBI? Maybe. The Missouri senator issued a grave warning regarding the amendment put forth by House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner, These are rhinos. Republicans. Rhino. Republican in name only. A rhino. And committee ranking member Jim Himes, Democrat of Connecticut. Breitbart News has covered this amendment, highlighting its potential to significantly increase the number of businesses and individuals required to comply with government regulations and allow warrantless access to the communication system. Now, having IT background and or being in this business, I understand the ability or wanting of certain government agencies to be into the intelligence and networking, AI as it is. And AI is what this is really all about down the road. We have just had last week there wasn't a show. I didn't do a show last week, I think, because I had to replace part of our IT here so that I could continue to broadcast because we were being bombed by Chinese and Iraqi denial of service attacks. Little old me. Who the hell am I? But essentially, the amendment broadens the definition of electronic service provider to encompass any service provider with access to equipment used for transmitting, storing, wire, or electronic communications. With that thought in mind, I am going to be doing a story again on Senator Tammy Baldwin and the Democratic DNC, Democratic National Committee, and their Milwaukee, Wisconsin office of an extremely grave violation with ulterior motives or not. I can't say at this point in time. I only know that it happened, and coming from with an IT background and security, well documented. I should hang my certificates up behind me here sometime. She requested prior to January 6th to have an independent contractor walk into the Milwaukee DNC headquarters with zero security clearance because of what's called noisy lines. That's quote unquote. And in the IT world, the term noisy lines has a double meaning. If you're not familiar with it, find an IT person and ask them, what does noisy lines mean? All that office and Tammy Baldwin's office, and it was from her office, and I hold her responsible for it because it came out of her business. All that was requested was a laptop with a network cable, Cat5 cable, and then let an outside source access the DNC's computers remotely and have the tech sit there and do this while it was being done. Zero security programs on the laptop. I have the request for work order in my possession. I'm not whistling Dixie here. And this affiliated 702 crap, falls right in place with what was going on back then. Privacy advocates have criticized this provision as a Trojan horse for a Patriot Act 2.0. And there you have it. I'm not whistling Dixie that, this might happen. It did happen. I can prove it happened. And she wants to be reelected under the woe is me category. When I was young, I used to bang on the door, but my mother wouldn't answer because, woe is me. Tammy Baldwin, kiss my proverbial patriotic ass. Senator Hawley argued that granting this expanded access would primarily benefit the FBI, who violated the 702 Act almost 300,000 times. An agency he believes does not warrant more authority given past abuses. And they admit that they abused it openly. But then our good old buddy here over here, old Johnson, he wants to push it down our throats. And you want to know why? What that little caveat is in that thing? Because they wrote a provision that says Congress people and senators and affiliates cannot be investigated. He asked rhetorically, remember the Durham report. It found the FBI abused the power to open an investigation into the Trump campaign. Oh, really? Wait a minute. He's a foreign agent. No. You might have people telling you he is. He's never been a foreign agent, in my opinion. He continued, the FBI's record of Section 702 is just as bad. In 2022, a judge identified 278,000 improper searches on Americans in the FISA database. This is the same FBI the House decided to give more power to. It's freaking insane. Old Johnson boy, here he is. I'm going to give more power to the FBI, but I'm only doing my job. Don't scream at me. Poppycock. Steve Bradbury, a respected fellow at the Heritage Foundation, said that the Hines-Turner Amendment is so extensive in its scope that even experts like him may struggle to determine the number of companies required to adhere to it. Bradbury said to, think about third-party contractors who may have access to the equipment. Oh, a laptop with zero security being requested to show up at a DNC headquarters by Tammy Baldwin. And then let an outside source, unbeknownst to the guy who's got the laptop sitting there plugged into the DNC's network, doesn't have a clue what's going on. A janitorial company. What about a janitorial company who has a key to a data center and comes in, cleans up the data center floor or something, mop the floor so there's no dust for the computers? Let alone a work technician, being paid to sit in the DNC headquarters with zero security on a laptop. Do you get it? Could the NSA, National Security Agency, hit the data center? So the implications of it are troubling, and the full scope is unknown at this point. But just like Pelosi said about the Obamacare, well, we have to pass it so we know what's in it. It's the same rhetoric year after year after year with the same bunch of yahoos sitting in Detroit. They're all a bunch of village idiots because they allow it to happen. And how does a village idiot go from senator to, congressman to Speaker of the House? He was the lesser of all votes. Doesn't that sound familiar? You and I going to the polls and voting? Well, we'll vote for this guy because he's not as bad as the other guy. You don't have a clue. And with that, the same agency right here that comes up on the the AP, on a story, the FBI will pay Larry Nassar. Do you remember him, who that guy was? He's the doctor that fiddled about with our Olympians, female Olympians. The FBI will pay Larry Nassar's victims $100 million with taxpayer funds. I'm just almost speechless. The same group that now were they? Why was the FBI investigating this? Is that one of the violations of the Section 702? The FBI has agreed to compensate Larry Nassar's victims with a staggering $100 million following revelations that the agency neglected critical evidence, enabling notorious pedophile to perpetuate heinous crimes against numerous young girls. My Olympians, your Olympians. That turns my stomach. Everything. And the people that are associated with this whole fiasco, I'm sorry. They should be sitting in prison with him. Despite the gravity of the allegations and the political threats posed by Nassar's ongoing predatory behavior, senior officials at the FBI failed to address the situation promptly. Because they were, why? Were they looking, because they were looking at, well, this is after, were they looking at the Trump campaign communications? I don't know. They don't see the problem with your packaged news releases. They don't ask the good questions, the pertinent ones that you and I would like to know. Why was it that they did this? They were too busy doing something else. They were understaffed because they had new ventures. under the 702 that they want to violate. Man, who gives a rat's ass? We'll just pay them off. It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. The report revealed a troubling timeline of inaction, with the FBI neglecting to initiate any investigative measures for 5 weeks after receiving information about Nassar. Now, in the scheme of things, 5 weeks is what? Not a lot of time in the scheme of how long the FBI has been around. To a victim of his abusive behavior, it would be an eternity. Now, 5 weeks at $100 million. I'm just... Additionally, crucial evidence was not shared with the Lansing field office. Essential interviews were delayed or limited, and significant gaps of investigative activity persisted for months on end. This egregious mishandling of a high-profile case involved child abuse and exploitation under profound organizational deficiencies within the FBI. But hey, it's okay. We're just going to use tax money to pay off. And they should be paid $100 million. Should have $100 million to each one of the people that he violated, the young ladies that he violated. That's my personal opinion. And I'm sorry. You're going to find out more about how I feel and am acting on this one in future shows. The $100 million settlement serves as a belated acknowledgement of the agency's failure to fulfill its duty to protect vulnerable individuals from harm. Now, what have we been talking about the whole morning here? Exactly that. Our children, our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren, and our great-great-great-grandchildren. What are we doing to them? What are we doing for them, I might ask? What exactly is it you're doing? Sitting around on a couch potato ad? If you got cable TV in any way, shape, or form, I'm sure you've seen the Pluto ad with all the couch potatoes sitting there grooving on Pluto TV. This is it. Get up off your asses and take care of our kids. Wow, it also represents a symbolic gesture. There you go, symbolic gesture. Hey, Nassar, this is a symbolic gesture. What do you think? It's about as useless as the $100 million. A symbolic gesture towards repairing some of the damage inflicted by upon Nassar's victims due to systematic negligence. This was 5 weeks. This had been going on for years, if not decades. This has got nothing to do. $100 million. We don't have enough money. The FBI don't have enough money. Unless, of course, they pass that it's okay for them to use tax dollars. Then we'll just get a tax raise. We'll call it, we need to support the FBI. Big Leagues Politics reported how the FBI agents who allowed Nassar to rape countless girls were permitted to escape accountability. And universities, liberal universities, it just makes me dumbfounded. You know, hey, if you got something you want to share with me, you want me to talk about, investigate a little bit, send it to news@thejustjimshow.com. I'll take a look at it. I get plenty of news tips. If you got something going on in your community and you think I might be able to help, because I got connections pretty much all around the country, we can take a look at things and try and come up with an answer. Please, don't hesitate. Got a hotline to the studio here, too. You can call in anytime. If you know me, you'll know the number. I'm not giving it out on the air at the moment. But we'll listen to you. I will always listen to people. May not be what I like to hear, but I'll listen to it. And if it's valid information, so be it. We'll deal with it at that time. And with that, we'll be right back on the Just Jim Show in the morning from Lake Wish I Be Gone. Okay, welcome back to Just Jim Show. Hey, how can you're just not ignorant, and you know what's going on. And I gotta say, he's not looking so good in this picture, is he? Hair's kind of discombobulated, and is it? Last segment we talked about voting for the lesser of all evils. I'm not a huge Trump fan, but in the scheme of the candidates that are being put forth, I don't know how you could vote for anybody else. It's just kind of the way it is. I don't know. It just befuddles me to think about having another Joe Biden and bumbling Joe, whose uncle was eaten by cannibals. Yeah, I know. Plane was shot down. No, I had engine trouble. Landed in the Pacific. It landed in the Pacific, and Joe can't be specific. That's just who he is right now. And we were just talking about that the other day. Is Joe that out of it, or is this a planned bailout by the DNC? I'm not sure, and time will play it out. I just don't buy that anybody could be that befuddled and buffoonery going on in their life on an everyday basis. I just can't keep quoting them all. There's so many. It's about as good as Obama. How many states did old Obama say there were? Oh, a couple extras floating around. I don't know. That's where they got the extra votes from, and you know it. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
Yeah. And anyway, with that, we now have Chicago. Chicago's response to illegal aliens stirs longstanding frustrations among black residents. The closure of Wadsworth Elementary School in 2013 was a blow to residents of the majority black neighborhood it served, symbolizing a city indifferent to their interests. Does that sound familiar? Government entities with no concern for what we, the people, say to them? So when the city reopened Wadsworth last year to shelter hundreds of migrants without illegal aliens without seeking community input, it added insult to injury. Black residents are frustrated that long-standing needs are not being met while the city's newly arrived and well cared for with a sense of urgency and with their tax dollars. It's not only their tax dollars, just my tax dollars, your tax dollars. Our voices are not valued nor heard, said Genesis Young, a lifelong Chicagoan who lives near Wadsworth. Chicago is one of several big American cities grappling with the surge of illegal aliens. The Republican governor of Texas has been sending them by the busloads. Yahoo! You keep letting them in, I'll keep sending them up. Absolutely excellent move. The only thing that he doesn't do is he misses the ones that get flown in from out of the country. Chicago is one of several big American cities. The Republican governor of never mind, I already read that. Chicago's response to migrant influx stirs long-standing frustration among black residents. And you want to know, this is a prime example of a voice not being heard. I say that collectively. That it's tough to have any vote of confidence in an administration that refuses to listen to and abide by the voices of the people that elected them. It's really not complicated at all. It really isn't. It's pretty simple. You campaign, you get votes, you should do what your campaign says you're supposed to do. The outcry The outcry of over illegal aliens in Chicago and other large Democratic-led cities is having wider implications in an election year. Absolutely true. Why is one party gaining the black vote and opinions and eyeballs when the other one's losing? The Biden administration is now advocating a more restrictive approach to immigration and its negotiations with the Republicans in Congress. Well, why? Johnson's there. He's no threat to anybody, is he? Take a look at this bad boy. Let me blow it up a little bit so you can see what's going on. This has nothing to do right here, does it, with anything this administration has been doing. Look at this. Open borders? Where the heck is the border czar? Oh, she's out lauding votes, trying to save her position in an administration that some guy behind a curtain is wagging a dogtail. Since Wadsworth reopened as a shelter, Young has felt extreme anxiety because of the noise, loitering around the clock, police presence that came with it. More than anything, she said, and other neighbors are saying, that it's a reminder of problems that have been left unsolved for years. It's got nothing to do with years. It's got to do with where am I going to put them, the mayor says. I don't want to sound insensitive to them and for wanting a better life, but this has nothing to do with the illegal people crashing a border, committing a crime and then saying, oh, I'm just here for a better life, but give me the $10,000 debit card and send me up to Chicago where all my fellow illegals are. I can't say any plainer than that. For so long, we've accepted that this is how it had to be in our communities. Well, this goes hand in hand with everything I've been saying. Unless you stand up, get up off the couch, and become involved in your community, this is what happens. It's a never-ending, oh, well, the mayor said it was okay. The governor, Pritzker, says, oh, we'll take care of them. We'll get some more federal funds. Yeah. Chicago Mayor Johnson declined to comment for this story. The city received more than $200 million from the state and federal government to help care for migrants after Johnson appealed to Illinois Governor Pritzker and President Joe Biden. Hello. The president will be in Chicago in August to make his reelection pitch for the 24 National Democratic Convention, which rumor has it, I love my rumors, that we will be the state of Wisconsin will be passing out no gun zone certificates at the Democratic National Convention, which is going to be held in Milwaukee. And in lieu of giving them more security police and private guards. We don't need them. Just give them we're going to just give out no gun zone certificates. Everybody will be safe. Some black Chicagoans are protesting the placement of shelters in their neighborhoods. Oh, isn't that a novel idea? We all want cell service, but I don't want a cell tower in my backyard. But others aim to turn the adversity into an opportunity. Chicago is a microcosm of the rest of the nation. Reverend Janet Wilson, National Executive Director of Civil Rights Group Push for Excellence, black communities have faced discrimination and underinvestment for decades and were justifiably frustrated. Wilson said, though, the attention the illegals are receiving is deserved. She added, but it's also a chance for cities to reflect on their responsibility to all underserved communities. We give money to foreign countries, specifically South America, and their administrators apparently don't know what to do with all the money that we send to them. And now people have been transported, and national organizations, Red Cross, trying to think of the other ones, a couple other ones, they're dropping flyers on how to get up through the Darien Gap and up into the United States, which paths to take. They're implicitly involved. And then they come up here and say, well, we have all these we'll call them English oatmeal, migrants, living in squalor and bitching about the food they didn't get during Ramadan. And then we the taxpayers are supposed to accommodate. I'm going to have to ask this to the people that can tell me. I am wondering how many illegal aliens have been sent to Dearborn, Michigan. I'm just wondering how many has Dearborn taken. Y'all know why I'm asking that question, don't you? Yeah. Martilla Ingram, a school guidance counselor who lives in the South Shore neighborhood, said she is concerned about the resources being shared equitably. There's that woke word, equitable, between migrant illegal aliens and longtime residents. But she also believes, quote, it doesn't have to be a competition, end quote, and sympathizes with nearly 6,000 immigrant children now enrolled in Chicago's public schools that can't speak English, no English, but are going to get tax dollars fed into the school system because they're there, and then they're going to be passed from grade to grade regardless of their educational achievements, because that's just the way it is. We already do it to our own citizens. In a surge of racist attacks in cities across the U.S. that came to be known as Red Summer, remember that summer? Cities burned, people jump around, blocking freeways. White residents burned large swaths of Chicago's black neighborhoods and killed 38 black people, including by lynching. When did this all happen? I don't remember seeing that on the news. Do you? He hears echoes of that past bigotry, intentional or not, when black Chicagoans complain about the help being given to migrants, illegal aliens. How did we become like this, the white folks who are resisting our people coming to the city of Chicago? I don't know. Because you let it happen. Labor and immigrant rights organizers have worked for years to tamp down the divisions between working class communities. Is that socialism at its finest or not in my republic? Tamping down social and working immunities or irregularities. And I can tell you from experience, been there, done that, had my smiling face on the cover of Solidarity, and it's hanging right over there. Years and years before I got into this business. The inequities for working class people is pretty big. But it is the load that working class people take on and strive to just get better and better and better through the years and decades to provide for our children. But then we send them to universities the likes of what's going on today. If left unchecked, we all panic. We're all scared. We're going to retreat to our corners. Executive Director of Working Families Solidarity, a major Hispanic labor rights group. The truth is that this city won't work without Black and Latino people. And just to echo the cries coming out of a congressional office, I think it was them, where am I going to get my vegetables from? Oh, God. And then you have the religious people who there has been a noticeable uptick in non-English speaking speakers in the pews, many of whom have said they are illegal aliens in need of food and other services. Some church members cautioned him against speaking out in support of illegal aliens or allotting more church resources to them. But he said the Bible's teachings are clear on this issue. There's the yin-yang. You're a Christian, you believe in the Bible, or some form thereof. And you must turn your other cheek. Yet, when you have the forces of evil, I can't call it any other way, allowing an open border policy, I'll let them in, help them up the aisle. We'll put barbed wire up, but we're going to help them up the aisle. Where do I have that picture? Been there, done that. I don't have it, but this is the activity chart of what's going on. It just dumbfounds me about this whole mess. What's going on? Every day we talk about what's going on. Truer words are never spoken. Communism only works in heaven, where they don't need it, and in hell, where they already have it. Yep. Socialism, communism, and if you don't believe we're on that track, listen to bigger voices than mine. Everyone seems to be now clamoring what we're called extremists were talking about 6 months ago, a year ago, year and a half ago, called chicken littles, running around screaming this, that, and the other thing. It just befuddles me why we're allowing ourselves to be in the position that we're in. With that, I am about to close the show for today. I didn't have the show as long as I wanted to. I got another couple articles, but my voice is getting sore. I have a tickle, and I can't get rid of the tickle, so rather than be a nuisance, we're going to say the following. Number one, you have to be good to each other. The only way that can happen is you have to agree to disagree when you start a conversation. Not everybody's going to think like everybody else, but you have to be. And I want to sidetrack a little bit here on this comment. People tell me I don't have respect for people that are in powerful places. My reply to that is, I have more respect than you could ever imagine for the office of the president, the office of Congress, the office of Senate, and all of the subsequent offices that need to be held to their job descriptions. I talk about this all the time. You go to work, you got a job description. These bastards have a job description too, and they ain't doing it. Respect is due only when it's earned. In my class, I don't care who you are, who you think you are, like JB. I don't work for you. Yes, you do, you son of a bitch. You work for us. There's a couple quarters in that one. Respect is not given, though I was taught to respect my elders. Joe is my elder by a little bit, but I do not respect him. I can respect it if he's sick and he has a physical ailment, that it should be addressed. No different than the Secretary of State. He goes into the hospital and doesn't tell anybody that he's going in the hospital. What the hell is up with that? Not acceptable. No respect there whatsoever. I don't care what you've done in the past. You're here, you're now. This is what you're doing. If you cannot be true to yourself and your word and your oath of office, you don't get any respect. And we'll talk more about that. on a comedic note, somebody came up to me and asked me, one of my listeners, friends, asked me, is there such a place as Lake Wish I Be Gone? And I chuckled. I had a good hearty laugh on that one. And I said, no, there isn't. And he gives me this puzzled look. And I said, no, do you know Lake Wobegon? That's in Minnesota somewhere. Lake Wobegon, where everything is perfect. Nothing wrong happens. The kids are succeeding. They're successful. Great jobs. Parents are happy because of all that. And Lake Wobegon, it's all good. There's nothing to be mad about. No, blah, blah. You know, you can hear the live orchestra playing in the background, quintet, whatever it is. And Lake Wish I Be Gone is just the opposite. And when I said, no, there isn't a Lake Wish I Be Gone, I guess I hadn't thought about it. And then I did. And wherever a patriot stands up and defies not party lines, right and wrong. That's what patriotism, conservatism is an add-on to patriotism, but what's good for the country. Lake Wish I Be Gone exists every time someone stands up and fights for what is right, points out what is wrong. And it's not to be seen as a negative. It has to be seen as a positive. That you can't take criticism, you can't stand the fire, the heat, get out of the kitchen. Your mom probably told you that. You don't like the heat, get out of the kitchen. At least my mother did. And so every time that a person stands up, a patriot, becomes a patriot, and talks about the ills and the being upside down in America with all the crap that's going on, that's Lake Wish I Be Gone. Because you don't want to be there. You take a stand and say, this is wrong. I don't want to be here. I want to be in Lake Wobegon, not Lake Wish I Be Gone. So yes, Lake Wish I Be Gone does exist. It exists every time, anywhere, a patriot opens their mouth and fights evil, wrong. And there's a difference between wrong. I didn't know the gun was loaded. Yeah. And being totally obscenely anti-American, anti-country, New World Order, one world economic, Klaus, baby. No, that's wrong. And we'll point out we're getting to know a lot of people who are patriots, that are doing things that are right. And one of the, and I'm not even going to say it. You'll see it on future shows. You'll hear them on future shows. We've done some work in our temporary off time. I've had some physical issues. We're taking care of them, and hopefully we'll be back all the time. And we will be traveling around America doing shows at different locations around the country. You got to stay tuned. If you're one of these people that are it's a patriot, a conservative, make sure you subscribe. Where are we? Right there. Like and subscribe to this podcast. I don't do it for my good health. I do it because I think it makes a difference. And at some point, I'm hoping that it does. Stay tuned. Ooh, got a downpour. And so much for going for a beer tonight. Whatever. I sit at home and have beer. Anyways, with that, we'll close with our usual. I'm not. I'm going to do a. No, I take that back. I am. Well, whatever. Be good to each other. Be a patriot. Get rid of wood ticks because they'll suck you dry. If you know what a wood tick is, I'll show you some pictures of what they do next show. Be good to each other. God bless. and we hope to see you next time. Have a good day and a better tomorrow.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word? I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?